Hey there, fellow wanderers. As you close your eyes, a weightless darkness envelops you, a darkness not unlike the twilight that once fell over the ancient island of Crete. The breeze carries the scent of salt and olive wood, and the ground beneath you hums faintly with echoes of a vanished world. You hear laughter in the distance from open markets, from quiet shrines. The Minoans are still here, if only in memory. Sea kings, master artisans, traders whose ships kissed every shore the Mediterranean knew. But listen closer, and you'll sense the tension in the air. Something unseen stirs, like thunder hiding behind a clear sky. This isn't legend. This is history, unpolished and perilous. A people balanced between brilliance and destruction. So, before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in ancient times, even survival was a luxury. As you glide effortlessly from the twilight into a more detailed scene of ancient Crete, the vibrant life of the Minoans comes into sharper focus. Picture bustling harbor cities like Knossos, where the architecture was an artwork of its own, articulated with colorful frescoes and labyrinthine corridors. These palaces were the beating heart of Minoan civilization, teeming with craftsmen and dancers, nobles and commoners. From the fragrant olive oil presses to the looming silhouettes of ancient ships docked in the harbors, every element served an essential part of this complex tapestry of life. Amid this splendid environment, the Minoans appeared to enjoy a harmonious existence with their surroundings. At least, that's the story told by the olive trees swaying in the golden fields, the vineyards basking in the sun's gentle embrace, and the flocks of sheep grazing leisurely in the hills. The climate, with its mild winters and warm summers, enabled agriculture to flourish, resulting in bountiful harvests each year. The Minoans not only sustained themselves with this abundance, but became adept traders, exchanging their goods far beyond the Cretan shores. But, dear listener, not everything was idyllic in this sun-drenched paradise. You might have heard the saying, those who forget their past are doomed to repeat it. The Minoans, engrossed in their world, seemingly forgot that the very forces of nature that aided their prosperity could very easily turn against them. Historians still argue whether it was denial, ignorance, or perhaps a fateful combination of both that led to their unpreparedness. Crete's precarious position on the seismic chessboard of the Aegean meant that the Minoans regularly experienced tremors whispering from deep within the earth. Many of their structures, built to withstand these periodic shakes, tell tales of frustration and resilience woven into the fabric of their stones. Moreover, distant rumblings from the volcanic island of Thera, known as Santorini, loomed ominously on the horizon. You can almost hear it, can't you? Those quiet, persistent whispers of impending turmoil, echoing faintly in the background of everyday life. For now, let us linger here in this quietude, amid the shadows of the past, savoring this rare window to a world caught in the inevitable flow of change. But do not worry, we have only just begun our journey. As you relax into the soothing embrace of this ancient twilight, remember that in each whisper of the past, there is a truth waiting to envelop, used perhaps to warn us. Can you feel it? That gentle tug at the mind, hinting at stories yet to unfold. We'll delve further into the veins of Minoan civilization, tracing their rise in the multifaceted culture that thrived under the benevolent Mediterranean sun. Until then, the faint aroma of olive trees and warm earth will cradle you gently back to the realm of rest, or perhaps dreams laced with the echoes of history. As you journey deeper into the fabric of Minoan civilization, allow your senses to indulge in the kaleidoscope of activity that was once the everyday norm on the island of Crete. Unlike today's bustling cities filled with the constant buzz of technology, the Minoans moved to the rhythm of the natural world and the vibrant energy of their closely knit communities. Visualize yourself standing at the edge of a thriving Minoan town, The air is infused with the salty aroma of the sea, blending harmoniously with the sweet fragrance of flowering myrtles. Everywhere you look, life cascades around you in a whir of color and motion. Merchants negotiate in lively markets, their voices ringing out in a melodic symphony of trade and barter. Artisans meticulously craft pottery, their hands moving in practiced gestures honed over generations. Historical records reveal that the Minoans were masterful in their ability to meld function and beauty. Their pottery, distinguished by the elegant Kamari's ware with its flowing, intricate designs, was not just utilitarian but also a testament to their artistic flair. These designs painted a picture of their everyday life, depicting images of nature, spirals, and marine motifs that echoed the sea that cradled their island. Yet, it wasn't just art where the Minoans excelled. Their architectural talents are evident in the remnants of grand palaces like Knossos and Phaistos. These structures were not simply residences but complex centers of administration, religion, and economics. Picture these palaces as the heartbeat of Minoan life, where the echo of footsteps down long corridors is a testament to the organized efficiency of a society that valued order and innovation. Quirky yet intriguing, the architectural innovations of the Minoans included an advanced drainage system, an artistically sculpted system allowing water to cool and refresh the inhabitants, everything a palace could need, minus perhaps a modern air conditioner. Even today, you might chuckle to think that in their time, the Minoans were reveling in their version of plumbing luxury. As you wander these spaces in your imagination, feel the cool shade cast by colonnaded verandas. It's easy to see how the Minoans led an outdoor-centric lifestyle, their open atriums inviting gatherings under the vivid Mediterranean sky. Evening celebrations were surely a sight, lit by torches, and alive with music and dance, a world where poetry and song intertwined seamlessly with daily labor. Although records are sparse, what's clear is that the Minoans were a society with a penchant for athleticism and leisure, their murals depicting scenes of acrobatic bull leaping and graceful dancing. These images not only showcase their strong physique and zest for life, but subtly suggest a culture of bravery and competitive spirit, honed perhaps for both the beauty and necessity of survival. But let's pour a little humor into this pot of history stew. Imagine being offered a sip of the robust, earthy wine that would accompany these rituals of sport and society. You might find it hard to believe, but historians inform us that these vintages were often laden with spices and resins, making your average mulled wine taste like child's play. Those ancient parties clearly knew how to crank up the flavor dial. And then there's the delicious debate among historians as to the origins and influence of the Minoans in broader Mediterranean context. Were they the mysterious sea peoples of later fame, or merely one of many flourishing cultures interconnected through trade and conquest? Historians still argue whether the Minoans were one of many influences in the melting pot of Mediterranean civilization, or the primary catalyst sparking cultural evolutions elsewhere. As the mosaic of Minoan life unfolds before you, it becomes apparent that these people wove a tapestry both rich and complex. Yet, at its heart lay a relationship with the earth, ever dependent on the elemental forces that would also spell their eventual challenge. So, as you step back, let your mind linger on the vibrant pulse of life that thrummed through ancient Crete. Picture it like a dance of light and shadow, where stories were etched not only in pottery and frescoes, but across the very landscape itself. But remember, this is just the beginning. Much more awaits in the hushed whispers of time as we explore how climatic changes began to tug subtly, yet persistently, at the threads of this intricate tapestry. Let every breath you take here ground you further in the heart of the Minoan world, setting you adrift on ancient seas that carry us, and their secrets, through history's ever-turning tide. As the verdant landscape of Crete unfurls before you, it's easy to see why the Minoans flourished here, cradled by the bountiful Mediterranean. Picture sprawling fields of barley swaying in the gentle breeze, their ears whispering together like a rustling symphony orchestrated by nature. Beyond the fields, groves of olive and cypress trees stand guard, their silvery leaves shimmering under the midday sun. Feel the warmth on your skin, the sun's steady gaze providing just the right conditions for agriculture to thrive. You can almost taste the sweetness of fresh figs. Picture the vineyards heavy with grapes ready to be pressed into robust wine, and see the age-old olive presses squeezing the golden essence that would travel across the seas. It's a constant, rhythmic dance of harvests and seasons, a symphony conducted by the climate that envelops this ancient civilization. The Minoans, like eager pupils of their natural environment, mastered the art of synchronizing with nature's timetable. By observing patterns of the rainfall and the swelling rivers, they developed a keen understanding of agriculture that allowed them to feed a growing population and fuel a powerful economy. Their calendars, punctuated by celestial movements, kept them aligned with the cycles of planting and harvesting, an ancient farmer's almanac, as it were. But here's a quirky nugget to chew on. While the Minoans were masters of the natural seasons, they were also skilled in cultivating plants that could confuse the palate. Anise, coriander, and opium poppy were among the curious crops that found their way from field to amphora. Imagine using poppy seeds not just for culinary delight, but also as potential barter in trade, or worse, in calming those tense days when the earth shook a bit too hard. A gentle nudge toward relaxation, Minoan style. Their proximity to the sea was not just geographical but deeply cultural, affecting everything from their diet to their trade routes. Fish and shellfish were staples, their abundance a continual reminder of the ocean's generosity. With artisanal dedication, these maritime people designed intricate frescoes celebrating marine life, a testament to a civilization inextricably entwined with its natural environment. Walk now through their markets with me, and you'll catch snippets of conversations as traders exchange the bounties of this fertile land for exotic goods like ivory, gems, and even saffron, a spice valued as much for its brilliant dye as its flavor. All this intertwined, a living illustration of how climate and geography shape not merely survival, but an effervescent way of life. Yet, the relationship between the Minoans and their environment was as intricate as the ornate designs etched in their pottery. The very sea that provided sustenance and connections to distant lands also harbored potential dangers, its tempestuous moods capable of disrupting trade or fishing expeditions. But it was not just the sea that the Minoans needed to heed. The volcanic rumbles from nearby islands served as ominous reminders of nature's fickle temperament, a reminder of how delicate their interdependent relationship was. Historians still argue whether the changing climatic conditions exacerbated these challenges, nudging the Minoans further toward the edge of viable existence. Did the shifts in weather patterns shorten growing seasons and diminish agricultural output? Were rising sea levels contributing subtly to the erosion of stability? As best guesses are sewn into theories, one must navigate these murky waters with an open mind. None of this, however, suggests that the Minoans were hapless victims of their environment. Rather, it showcases a dynamic society striving and often succeeding to harness nature's gifts and mitigate its challenges through adaptive ingenuity. From building terraces on sloping terrains to employing rotating crops and storing surplus grains, the Minoans danced a delicate ballet of sustenance and survival that, for much of their history, enabled them to thrive. As you navigate through this richly textured civilization, let the impressions wash over you like waves upon a sun-soaked shore. Feel the constant push and pull between humanity and the natural world, a dance both timeless and timely, intertwining resilience with reliance. In this landscape, carved by both time and earth, every gentle breeze and every sudden quake whispers a lesson, one as relevant today as it was in their time. As the shadow of history stretches long across Crete's fields, imagine the whispers of those who once walked here with earth-stained hands and skyward glances. It is their legacy of synergy with nature that stands as a silent sentinel, a remarkable testament to ingenuity and adaptability, even as tides of change slowly began lapping at the shores of stability. As the golden fields of Crete fade behind you, you're drawn toward the pulse of power that shaped ancient Minoan society, the rise of kings and the intricate choreography of politics. Picture yourself standing before the grand palace at Knossos, the air thick with the scent of aged stone and wet plaster mingling in the coastal breeze. This was the nerve center of Minoan civilization, where rulers managed not just the everyday affairs of state but the delicate balance of internal stability and external diplomacy. These palaces were more than mere residences. They were bustling hubs of political activity where decisions rippled across the Minoan world. Within their labyrinthine halls, kings, or perhaps queens, as some historians speculate, sat on thrones of authority, their influence radiating outward like sunlight through stained glass. It's a world where political maneuvering is as essential as any tool or technology. The rulers, aided by a cadre of loyal scribes and officials, tirelessly weaved the fabric of Minoan society. You can almost hear the scratch of styluses as they meticulously record decrees and contracts on clay tablets, employing the ancient linear A script that still eludes complete translation. These tablets, however, hint at an organized and bureaucratic society, one where record-keeping and planning were essential to governance. Historians still argue whether the Minoan rulers operated within a monarchy or an oligarchy, with some suggesting a mix of both, a collaborative council led by a singular figurehead. What is clear, however, is the sophistication of their political system, which somehow managed the cooperation of disparate communities across Crete's rugged terrain. Take a moment to envision the fervent discussions and debates held within the palace walls. The air would have been alive with varied opinions, the art of persuasion wielded deftly by those ambitious enough to climb the political ladder. Here, decisions were made, not just about immediate challenges but strategic foresight in ensuring prosperity and peace amidst potential threats from neighboring powers. You might chuckle at the thought of these ancient rulers facing issues we would find all too familiar: resource management, trade disputes, and even the occasional public relations crisis when dealing with unruly nobility or dissatisfaction among the citizenry. Indeed, the practice of politics was an ancient art, where building and maintaining alliances was paramount. But let's not forget the lighter side of power. Imagine the feasts held to celebrate victories, where tables groaned under the weight of luxurious foods, and wine flowed freely, an ancient icebreaker after tense negotiations. You can almost see the rulers seated among peers, sharing tales of triumph and wit, ensuring loyalty and camaraderie remained as strong as the marble pillars supporting palatial roofs. The Minoans also wielded religious influence as a form of political might, with rulers often acting as intermediaries to the divine. These dual roles allowed them to intertwine the sacred with the secular, further solidifying their grip on power. You can almost hear the echo of hymns sung to appease goddess figures, their blessings invoked for both personal and political gain. While traveling through these echoes of governance, you'll find that the Minoans borrowed liberally from other cultures, their openness to foreign influence creating a rich tapestry of diplomacy. Carved seals and frescoes display scenes of guests from distant lands, bearing gifts, but perhaps more importantly, fostering relationships that transcended marine boundaries. But let's pause briefly to appreciate that human quirk, no stranger to today's framework's political and economic ambition, sowing seeds for future discord. As trade routes expanded and the sea lanes of commerce grew busier, whispers of jealousy from other nations wove themselves into the narrative. Like a Shakespearean subplot, the ambitions of the powerful sometimes planted the seeds of vulnerability within the garden of prosperity. Standing in this grand hall of power, with its cool shadows and sunlit mosaics, marvel at how the Minoan rulers navigated the ever-turning wheel of politics. Here's a land where leaders harnessed influence like the sailors steered their ships, binding together a rich and varied society under the guiding stars of diplomacy and governance. So, as you exit the palace, casting one last glance at the intricate frescoes that tell stories of distant conquests and domestic endeavors, remember that these leaders, much like modern-day politicians, straddled a fine line. Ensuring peace and prosperity then, as now, required a repertoire of wits, charm, and the occasional touch of benevolent guile. It was a world not unlike our own, where aspirations soared as high as the sturdy pillars of Knossos. And as the light fades, so too does the awareness that these political intricacies lent structure to a civilization cresting upon history's ever-shifting tides, looming close to its inaudible tremors. As you wander away from the palatial corridors and into the Minoan heartland, feel the shift in atmosphere as the sacred entwines with the secular. Religion in Minoan society wasn't merely a belief system. It was a living, breathing force that permeated every aspect of daily life, like the warm sunlight permeates through morning mist. Imagine the Minoans walking a path lined with holy markers, each stone a testament to a divine presence intertwined with their world. Shrines dot the landscape, not only in grand palaces but nestled amid hillsides or within cavernous sanctuaries. The grand temples and humble altars alike serve as conduits between the mortal and the divinia tapestry of religious fervor woven with the natural world. As you walk these paths, inhaling the scent of wild herbs crushed underfoot, you witness rituals where the everyday and the extraordinary blend seamlessly. The Minoans worshipped a pantheon that reverberated with the rhythms of nature. Their primary deities, often depicted as female, suggested a reverence for the land's fertility and regenerative powers. So, if you fancy yourself celebrating a successful harvest or safe passage across the seas, it's all tied to appeasing these gods and goddesses. Picture a moonlit ceremony in a sacred grove, where the reverent silence is broken by chants and the rhythmic beating of drums. The Minoans believed deeply that nature itself was divinia belief that ensured harmony with the forces of weather, fertility, and the cycles of life and death. In a society like the Minoans, where both everyday farm work and elaborate palace life went hand in hand with spirituality, the traces one leaves in their wake are sure to be festooned with mystery. Devotional offerings to these gods might include pottery, precious metals, or more intriguingly, small clay figurines that served as votive gestures, perhaps asking for a bountiful harvest or the protection of their children. Yet, Minoan religion presents its enigmatic avenues as well. Take, for instance, the cryptic symbol of the double axe, or labris, which historians still argue over. Was it merely a symbol of thunder and lightning, or did it echo deeper-seated mythical origins tied to the gods? Debate persists about whether it was purely ceremonial or held a political significance as a symbol of power. Picture now the bosom of Mother Earth itself, embodied in the legendary bull-leaping frescoes. Such religious spectacles likely teetered on the edge of danger, performed in awe of both beast and deity, testament to the Minoans' audacious religious dedication. You might chuckle, thinking of their gods nodding politely while probably mumbling, "Please don't try this at the temple." Alongside deities, natural phenomena also commanded reverence. Mountains, with their towering peaks piercing the heavens, and caves that delved into the earth's mysteries, were seen as the tangible manifestations of divine entities. Strolling through these sacred sites, you can almost hear the gods tussling with the earth, hurling lightning and shaking the ground in fits of divine quarrel. It's a landscape alive with supernatural resonance, a world where volcanoes like Thera were not merely geological features but the cauldrons of gods tempering human fate. This deep-rooted spiritual synergy left a lasting impression on how the Minoans managed the dualities of life, the seen and the unseen, the known and unknown. Even today, with the dust of centuries settled over these lands, onlookers can catch glimpses of this harmony in the picturesque ruins where a civilization once danced to the rhythm of the divine. As you step away from the sacred spaces, take with you the sense that religion, for the Minoans, wasn't just worship practiced within temple walls, but a tangible essence woven throughout life itself. Picture it like sunlight illuminating every facet of their existence, infusing meaning into the mundane, and offering solace in uncertainty. This continuous dance with the divine, poised between reverence and ritual, drew Minoans closer to the forces they neither fully understood nor controlled, much like us, at times contemplating the whims of fate. So, as you wander back into the world outside this realm of sacred Minoan mystery, let it be a reminder of how deeply intertwined human society has always been with the spiritual, how flirting with the divine was akin to grappling with destiny. It's in this balance that the Minoans painted their life a vivid canvas of both reverence and rebirth, visible to those still willing to explore the whispers left behind by a profoundly ancient faith. As the echoes of sacred chants fade into the background, your journey takes you next to the restless heart of the Minoan world, a place where geological forces simmer quietly beneath the surface. Picture yourself sailing across the shimmering Aegean Sea, the sun's warmth on your back and the sea breeze carrying whispers from a distant isle. Thera, a volcanic island with secrets buried deep within its fiery core. It looms on the horizon, a seemingly peaceful patch of land that contained unimaginable power. In this land of seismic activity, the Minoans lived with the knowledge that the earth beneath them was not as firm as it might seem. The island of Thera, now known as modern-day Santorini, sits atop one of the most volatile volcanic hotspots in the Mediterranean. Beneath its picturesque landscapes lay a temperamental giant, waiting to speak in catastrophic eruptions. Imagine for a moment the tremors that preluded the main event, those imperceptible shudders in the ground that felt like fleeting nerves at first. Perhaps, like distant thunder mumbled in its sleep, these tremblers only heightened local superstitions, reminding people of divine discord. Yet, life went on, splish-splashing in the daily operations of commerce and community, largely unfazed by the Earth's subtle warnings. Historians still argue whether the Minoans fully understood the volcanic menace or simply underestimated the extent of its wrath. To many, the mountain was another presence within a pantheon of natural forces. Like the capricious seas that could deliver bounty or disaster, Thera too was a force to be reckoned with, but one wrapped in mystery and mythology. As tremors became more frequent, the Minoans might have turned to their temples, seeking intervention or guidance from celestial forces. The air probably buzzed with prayers and offerings, as if in hopes of soothing a volatile deity roaming beneath the earth's crust. Perhaps it all seemed theatrical in hindsight, like trying to reason with a frown-faced cloud poised overhead with a clap of thunder at the ready. Visualize the daily lives of Minoans merchants bustling in markets, children playing in sun-drenched courtyards, artisans plying their crafts all with an unheeded urgency in the air. Occasionally, the mountain coughed, expelling minor puffs of wisdom accumulating ash and rattling crockery. It didn't take an oracle to read those signs, but human nature has always sought hope in the slimmest of promises, and so they carried on with persistent resilience. These volcanic whispers came to define Minoan mythology, possibly giving rise to stories of fiery gods and the underworld. Did these tremors cast long shadows in the minds of the island folk, or were they simply seen as the natural rumblings of a world populated by capricious deities? Was this a time of heightened awareness and cosmic reflection, a civilization retiring into spiritual introspection as the earth threatened to lay bare its fury? In knowing we tread lightly upon a temperamental landscape, it beckons the question, how much of our own optimism masks a healthy respect tinged with fear? Much like the Minoans, who may have sensed the shifting ground beneath their feet, are we not also artists of deliberate ignorance, living firmly on the fault lines of our own making? And so, in this world where myths are woven into the very essence of reality, ignorance intertwines with awe. The Minoans, in their wisdom, perhaps recognize that life continues its course even if that path wends through the imperceptible cracks of potential disaster beneath a sleeping giant. They teach us that even as circumstances teeter at the brink of the unimaginable, human endeavors persist, and hope flickers, tethered to the prospect of understanding something unfathomable. As you glide away from this echo of ancient vibration, carrying with you the remembrance of Thera's slumberous hum, consider how the Minoans' poetic embrace of uncertainty is mirrored at times in our own modern musings about natural grandeur. Venture firmly on, as the narrative threads of what lies beneath entwine with tales of human resilience. It's a lesson in continuance, a glimpse of how myth, hope, and dread wove deeply into the fabric of Minoan society, embodying their worldview until the very end, echoing a silent symphony, carried away with the sea breeze. In the quiet moments, following the island's gentle tremors, let us steer your thoughts to the moment when anticipation finally gave way to grandeur and devastation. Imagine yourself standing on the cliffs of Crete, gazing out over the Aegean Sea. The horizon, once a reliable beacon of calm, now churns with dark clouds that twist and unravel like silent omens. You can't help but feel that something momentous is brewing, poised to unfold with a terrible beauty. On the horizon sits Thera, ominously still, an island cradling a beast. At this moment, the beast stirs. The eruption, when it came, wasn't just an upheaval, it was an earth-rending symphony that sang through rock and sky. Picture it now, the deafening roar, as Thera's peak explodes with fury, molten earth propelled skyward in an apocalyptic ballet of destruction and rebirth. The sky darkens, suffocated by ash clouds swaddling the sun, plunging the world into a sudden, eerie twilight. The sea, once the Minoan life thread, dips and sways, convulsing under the tectonic seizures. The mighty power that resided beneath the surface is released with force, birthing tidal waves that race tumultuously across the waters, as though Poseidon himself wrestled the chaos into being. Imagine towering walls of water barreling toward Crete, harbingers of the disaster etched in aqueous gray. Historians long debated the timing and full extent of the impact this eruption had on the Minoans, casting shadows over timelines and seeking signs within subterranean relics. Scholars have pondered, did this moment alone devastate Minoan civilization, or did it breathe life into a tempest of trials? Was it the singular blow, or merely the first in a series of cataclysmic misfortunes that would test the resilience of an entire society? As the great eruption unfolds, feel the landscape of Crete tremble beneath your feet. The reverberation of this phenomenal event resounds not just through earth and sky, but also through the hearts of those who lived under its shadow. The darkness, rich with the scent of brimstone and ash, carries whispers of fear and awe in its wake, lingering like ghosts among the stately olive groves and bustling towns. Asleep in ash, that was how nature decided to cast its judgment that day. Imagine Minoan farmers watching helplessly as fertile fields are swallowed by layers of volcanic fallout, crops vanquished beneath the soft yet unyielding blanket of ash. It's a force of nature that elicits both dread and fascination, a reminder of humanity's vulnerability in the face of Gaia's unfathomable might. In the aftermath, Crete lies transformed, much as the world would be after an artist feverishly strokes a new hue across their canvas. This land, once the heart of a thriving civilization, pauses in shock, attempting to grasp and navigate the enormity of what just transpired. Buildings scarred by earthquakes and by the tremors of time itself stand as poignant reminders of civilization's frailty as well as tenacity. Despite its latent terror, the eruption offered a bizarre beauty, etching a new normal upon the Minoan psyche. Perhaps some, in reverence or disbelief, saw it as an act of divine retribution or a cleansing. Who among them might have ventured to ask whether the gods, in their infinite mystery, wished for the ground to speak so clearly, so destructively a voice from within the earth? While we modern travelers reflect on the past's marvels and tragedies, there lies an undeniable intimacy in nature's grand displays, reminding us that human endeavor persists, subjected to forces beyond its mastery. The Minoans, drawn into this nexus of earth and sky, found themselves rewritten, emerging changed, their resilience tested. Tonight, as you retreat to your place of rest, feel how the echoes from Thera's eruption still ripple through time. It reverberates through the stories told, through the layers buried beneath the surface, woven into the silent records of memories hidden by the ash. And so, As we weave this tale from nature's wrath, remember how it tempers, transforms, and teaches. The sky over Crete brightens slowly after the stormy gloom has passed, the air thick with the scent of promise and survival. In those solemn hours, we find a lesson of continuity written in the earth, perseverance etched in stone, a profound symphony of life, transient yet eternal, interwoven with the humanity of Minoan history. In the quiet aftermath of Thera's fiery outburst, the island of Crete stands wrapped in an unsettling stillness, a land both scorched and baptized by nature's untamed crescendo. You find yourself wandering through this transformation, amidst a silence thick with the echoes of that dire silence that speaks volumes about survival against unimaginable odds. Imagine waking from a nightmare, only to find reality more daunting. The landscape, once vibrantly green and buzzing with life, is now draped in ashen hues. The fertile expanses where barley and olives thrived lie buried beneath layers of volcanic dust. Each step through this world feels both familiar and foreign, like walking through memories veiled in shadow. The acrid scent of sulfur still lingers, a spectral reminder of nature's raw power. As you venture through these ghostly remnants, you sense the resilience etched into the very soul of the Minoans. In the immediate fallout, the focus shifts from grandeur to survival. This society, now marked by a somber resolve, grapples with the harsh reality of rebuilding life amid ruin. Yet, as the first tendrils of green bravely push through the gray blanket, they embody a quiet defiance, a testament to life's tenacity. The Minoans were nothing if not adaptive. As history illustrates, they responded by reassessing and redistributing their resources amidst the transformed landscape. Ingenious engineers of life as they were, the Minoans began salvaging what they could, scraping ash from viable fields, seeking new lands for cultivation, and rebuilding fractured communities with the diligent hands of craftsmen. Intertwined with survival, however, was the haunting threat of isolation. The same seas that once buoyed Minoan trade routes were now disruptors, swarming with debris and volatile seasickness. Chart a course through their thoughts, pondering whether their naval prowess could withstand nature's ire. Historians still argue whether their maritime fleet remained intact enough to stave off isolation, or whether this was a gradual signal in their decline. This time of chaos shook societal structures, creating ripples of doubt and unrest. As in any age, such upheaval can lead to internal reevaluations and shifts in power dynamics, a rebalancing of the societal order sculpted by imperatives of survival. A people once flourishing in harmony are now plunged into the murky waters of existential questioning. Amid this turmoil, however, the heart of Minoan culture beat with undeterred determination. Picture them gathering not just to mourn what was lost, but to fiercely protect and preserve what remains, clinging tenaciously to traditions and knowledge that might equip them for an uncertain future. The remnants of frescoes and artifacts suggest that even under layers of ash, they refuse to let their spirit dull. In a lighter tone, consider how even devastating change couldn't overtake the quirky resilience of their daily lives. Imagine, perhaps, the hushed humor shared in markets, once brimming with color-trading jests along with salvaged goods, and sharing meals as diminutive in portion as they remained rich in camaraderie. As the vegetation began to reclaim the land, so too did hope sprout, tentative and fragile. Like artists wielding imprecise brushes in muted tones, the Minoans slowly repainted their lives, adapting to a new reality stitched by necessity to the past glory. It was a time for endurance, for embracing frayed threads of tradition and weaving them skillfully into a practical narrative of resilience. Yet while the eye focuses on their recovery, deeper forces were also at play. Hidden currents of change, indiscernible in everyday reality, began realigning the Minoan world within a larger canvas of civilizations. In the quiet swirl of time's unending river, the Minoans adjusted their sails and navigated with ingenuity through troubled waters. As you descend into relaxation, finding peace in this reconstructed Minoan world, remember how even in adversity, life sought continuity. Shaded under that canopy of ashen transformation, the Minoans inscribed anew their persistent songs of survival, mingling echoes of old ways with the innovation needed to endure. So let your consciousness drift with these winds of history, carrying with it the whispers of those fiercely alive, battling the odds amid the silent weight of an epoch defined by both cataclysm and conservation, etching their narrative indelibly upon the palimpsest that time continues to write. As the dust from Thera's eruption settles upon the Minoan landscape, you step into a world where survival instincts begin to shape the new normal. The island, bruised but not beaten, sings a quieter song, now a melody filled with notes of resilience and regeneration. This is a time when the Minoans, known for their cultural vibrancy, draw on their deepest reserves of ingenuity and collective spirit to navigate the challenges ahead. In the days that follow the seismic upheaval, you can almost feel the urgency in the air. Life must find a way forward, though the path is uncertain and fraught with obstacles. The Minoans, famed for their adaptability, quickly shift gears into survival mode. Imagine them gathering in hastily convened councils, their deliberations tinged with the undercurrents of urgency and pragmatism. Survival means adapting to the new reality of environmental challenges and resource scarcity. The fertile fields are no longer the breadbasket they once were. Picture farmers, clad in garments streaked with ash, laboring to clear the choking debris from their precious land. It is laborious work, almost Sisyphean in its repetitiveness and scope, yet there is resolve in their sun-burnished faces. Every seed planted is a promise of continuity, a whisper of defiance against the forces that sought to erase their way of life. In villages, the rhythms of daily life are imbued with a cautious hope. Structures damaged in the eruptions are cobbled back together with what materials can be salvaged, their patchwork nature echoing the society's own determination to stitch itself back into wholeness. Ingeniously, the Minoans repurpose materials, employing their well-known craftsmanship to construct new tools and implements for the reconstructed destiny that awaits. As you wander through the transformed society, it's hard to miss the undercurrents of resource management that take precedence. The Minoans, once able to rely on the bounty of their lands, now face shortages that compel them to innovate and collaborate. Streams, once brimming, now trickling audible reminder of the altered climate. You feel the weight of their collective anxiety but also notice the spark of innovation, igniting new methods of irrigation and water conservation across the island. Historians still argue whether these climatic challenges sparked singular changes in Minoan methods or whether the shifts were part of a more gradual adaptation across generations. Was this the birth of new approaches to agriculture and resource allocation, or merely an intense period of adjustment against a backdrop of evolving practices? Nature's capriciousness also spurs changes in hunting and trade. The Minoans, seasoned traders and navigators, now face uncertain seas and disrupted trade channels. Yet these navigators of old, equipped with star charts and seafaring skills, trust in their ability to adapt the pathways of commerce. Imagine the resilient networks of barter that spring forth, new alliances forged, perhaps with the very neighbors who once stood as rivals. The air is thick with tales of adaptation, but also with occasional rumors of discontented voices questioning leadership and the stewardship of resources in this time of crisis. Yet, even in their debates, there is a shared commitment to forging ahead, a determination to transcend division in pursuit of a common goal. On lighter notes, even the smallest day-to-day interactions reflect the remarkable resilience layered with a touch of humor. Picture market day, where vendors set up stalls with fewer goods but no less enthusiasm, where banter and jests become currency of their own. It's in these shared moments that the Minoans' tenacity and sense of humor shine through, revealing a community bound tightly by hardship and mutual reliance. Beyond the markets, artisans continue to ply their skills, imbuing their works with new motifs reflecting recent hardships, images of waves and storms etched into ceramics, a subtle nod to nature's dual role as provider and destroyer. It's a humbling homage where adversity does not stifle creativity, but rather fuels it. As you linger in the shadows of these days filled with survival instinct and innovation, take with you the understanding that the Minoans, like many societies after them, adapted not in leaps but in many small steps. Within each makeshift shelter and every tentative planting lies a testament to their enduring spirit, a society replenishing itself, not just in spite of nature's tests, but because of them. Let this history gently cradle your thoughts as you drift into restfulness, buoyed by the persevering whispers of a people who, in adversity, found both challenge and opportunity, resilience and hope. May their legacy soothe and embolden the dreams of those who, in their own times, face the challenges of an ever-changing world. As the Minoans grapple with the challenges brought on by nature's upheaval, their once thriving trade network now stands on precarious footing. Imagine the bustling activity of Crete's ports, which had buzzed with the energy of merchants from across the known world. The air, once filled with the rich scent of spices and the calls of traders advertising their wares, now carries an unsettling stillness, punctuated by the whispered echoes of transactions that ripple across region and era, trying to find their peace in new conditions. The seas and the pathways upon them had been the lifeblood of Minoan prosperity, enabling this island civilization to connect as a central node of commerce across the Mediterranean. Ships laden with olive oil, pottery, and precious commodities once carved paths across the Aegean, linking the Minoans with distant lands as far as Egypt and the Levant. Now, the waters they had so expertly traversed present new challenges. The reverberations of Thera's eruption, along with shifts in the political and environmental landscape, have muddled what were once reliable routes. Picture the scene. Seasoned captains gather at the docks, their eyes scanning the horizon as they debate the latest intelligence. Maps and star charts lie unfurled on weathered tables, over which hands trace potential courses as discussions grow animated with the undercurrent of urgency. There's a palpable tension between hope and pragmatism as they weigh the prospects of forging new paths amidst the uncertainty. Historians still argue the extent to which these disruptions were purely physical, or if they were exacerbated by shifting political dynamics, the rise of other powers, jealously eyeing the trade routes that had been Crete's domain. The Minoans, once masters of the sea, now navigated both literal and metaphorical storms that threatened their trade hegemony. Feel the tension on Crete's shores as merchants eye their storerooms with mounting trepidation. Goods that couldn't be moved quickly congest ports and storerooms, testing patience and resourcefulness. Vases once overflowing with surplus now hold the musty air of dwindling opportunity, each one a bittersweet reminder of their earlier prosperity. Discussions of controlled trade and rationing fill the once robust agora. Yet, the Minoans were nothing if not adept at innovation. Adaptability had defined their growth, and they once again turned to it as their compass. New alliances sprang up, sometimes under pressure, at other times with strategic acumen, fostering interconnectedness that knitted smaller yet resilient networks across island chains and coastlines. Picture these hardy merchants crafting new deals, their fingers stained with ink and resolve as they pen agreements with distant harbors. You've got to imagine that behind the closed doors of meetings, there were moments of lighter exchange offers, sweetened with a jape or a minor tale, demonstrating how humor could be mariner-friendly when the seas could not. However, these times demanded more than creativity and good humor. They required an understanding of shifting geographic realities. Adverse weather patterns and an unpredictable sea were now obstacles to be tamed and predicted. The once simple predictability between Crete's creeping hills and the Mediterranean's expansive blue gave way to a landscape both literal and economic, demanded constant recalibration. Even in adversity, the spark of Minoan life persisted. The exchange of knowledge became paramount. Navigators and scholars, perhaps lesser celebrated in times of stability, rose to prominence. Their insights fueled the reimagining of maritime routes and the resilience of trade operations. It was a subtle shift where the brain accompanied brawn, redefining Minoan strength. At times of rest, share in the tales told by firelight, stories of long voyages and courageous acts, each embellished with a wink and a stifled laugh. It's these nighttime narratives that held the seeds of possibility, reminding each listener of the spirit that built Crete's renown and could certainly weather its trials. Across this fragile balance, the Minoans continued to carve their narrative onto the winds and tides, adapting trade with each challenge, refusing to settle into the edge of history's shadow. In the echoes of their ingenuity and adaptation lies a lesson for us all. When the world shifts, even the steadiest paths may venture astray, but new courses are always within reach for those willing to navigate by the stars of resilience and innovation. As the horizon hints at the soft glow of dawn, these stories of Minoan tenacity through trade disruptions gently carry you to rest, encouraging dreams of renewal and the understanding that even in times of great uncertainty, possibility dwells just beneath the surface. Let these tales linger as you drift away, their whispers guiding you like a trusted mariner returning to familiar shores. In the aftermath of upheaval on Crete, the ripples of the past reach beyond the shores and into the very fabric of Minoan society itself. Social structures, once as resilient as the grand palaces, face the strain of adaptation to the new and shifting realities. As you walk through this era of transformation, feel the subtle tremors underfoot not of the earth, but of the societal norms reconfiguring under stress and necessity. Imagine the hierarchy that maintained equilibrium being put to the test. At the top of this social pyramid are the elite as rulers, priests, and influential families whose power has been well established. The ornate frescoes and jewelry that adorned them were once symbols of their status, echoing their elevated position within the tightly knit social fabric. But the stress of survival and the pressing need for resources challenge these long-standing traditions. In the Minoan world, power is as much about perception as it is about practical influence. Within the palace walls, the once unquestioned authority of rulers now comes under scrutiny. As resources become scarcer, the delicate balance maintained by religious ceremonies and economic provisions falters. It's palpable. The anxiety that infuses the air as factions quietly form in the shadows, whispering the old mantras of power and perseverance. Picture communities banding closer together under the strain, reshaping their internal hierarchies with a mix of resolve and ambition. New leaders emerge of voices, not necessarily from the lineage of rulers, but from those who offer solutions to the immediate challenges. The artisans, farmers, and craftsmen, who once served the elite, find their roles evolving as their skills become paramount in navigating the landscape of rebuilding. Historians still argue to what extent these shifts in social dynamics were driven by external calamities versus a natural evolution already unfolding. Did nature accelerate a transformation that was already underway, or did it strike the match that ignited an urgent reorganization ingrained with necessity? The fabric of trust is woven and unwoven, based on the strength of leadership during moments of crisis. Imagine gatherings in communal settings, markets turned halls of council where ideas and plans come together, canvassed across generations of villagers, each with a stake in the destiny of their people. Traditional roles are reconsidered as collective wisdom races ahead, fueled by shared survival instincts. Imagine the light banter of such gatherings peppering serious discourse with the warmth of shared stories, charmingly told to strengthen the motivational tether to collective goals. It's here, in the seemingly mundane exchanges amidst strife, that the heartbeat of community endures most vividly. The echoes of evolving societal structures reach beyond challenges, permeating cultural expressions themselves. Artists, who once celebrated the divine and the elite, now capture scenes of everyday endurance and innovation. The frescoes see a subtle shift, depicting a community bound by more than divinity by shared struggle and hope. Pottery designs, reflecting daily life, become boldly personal, revealing quiet acts of resistance against despair, transforming necessity into art. So too does trade impact this new collective identity. The merchants, integral to the economy's recovery, blend old roots with new, engaging in the exchange not just of goods but of ideas and the stories of resilience from far Sharesa Testament to a world interconnected by more than proximity but by shared crusades of endurance. As you contemplate this evolving Minoan world, consider the tensions and reconciliations that bind past with an uncertain future. For even as social structures adapt, the indelible presence of both the known and unknown writes narratives of human tenacity and societal reformation. Gently, let your thoughts float within this mosaic of change, where vibrant threads of community unity endure amid shifts in power and purpose. As restorative dreams unfold, remember this: societal structures, though tested, adapt, and often emerge redefined, weaving anew the tapestry of life and history. In the cradle of ancient history, how ties are rewoven amidst change becomes an enduring lesson on adaptation, a tale as old as the stones that bear witness to those who lived before. As the symphony of history plays softly, drift into tranquility, letting the gentle whispers of Minoan resilience cradle your descent into a restorative darkness, guided by the enduring echoes of shared humanity. Amidst the shifting social structures, the Minoans sought solace and reflection within the intricate tapestry of their artistic expressions. As you walk through the corridors of time, the echoes of creativity rebound gently off frescoed walls, speaking volumes of a civilization grappling with its identity while clinging to the thread of artistic mastery. Imagine stepping into the hall of a Minoan palace, the air cool and scented with ancient earth. The vibrancy of the frescoes offers immediate comfort, their once brilliant colors verdant greens, ocean blues, and sunset reds whispering stories of life, nature, and the divine. These images have always been more than embellishment. They are a language through which the Minoans communicated their values, beliefs, and the complexities of their world. In the wake of disaster, Minoan artists adapted their craft, subtly shifting their focus. The frescoes that once primarily celebrated religious iconography and the rituals of the elite began to incorporate more earthly motifs, scenes of survival embedded with symbolic resilience. Picture hunters pursuing game, fishermen casting their nets into a tumultuous sea, and farmers laboring over their bountiful meager harvests. These depictions, while ensconced within palace walls, whispered of daily life's newfound precarity and triumph. The art of pottery, too, bore the marks of adaptation. The elegant Kamara's ware, with its intricate designs deftly blending white, red, and blue, persisted in its elegance but took on bolder narratives. Vessels now carried scenes of human endeavor and resilience of women harvesting, men constructing, and children playing, all narratives deeply intertwined with a desire to preserve, persist, and proclaim identity amid uncertainty. Let's not forget the quirks of innovation that rose in artistry. Picture artisans crafting delightful miniature statues and figurinism depicting intricate ceremonial scenes, others a test of craftsmanship with a humorous twist, possibly depicting their pets or even caricatures of known figures, each a testament to the Minoan spirit navigating their verdant and volatile world. Historians still debate the depths of this artistic evolution. Was it simply a reflection of a society in turmoil, or was it an intentional reimagining of identity in response to a world reshaped by nature and necessity? Perhaps it was both. Even in their playful indulgences, the Minoans expressed a deeper ethos of honoring tradition while embracing change, molding their creativity to echo the aspirations and fears of the community. Picture, if you will, artisans collaborating within workshop courtyards, exchanging stories and techniques under the dappled light of a vine-covered trellis. It's easy to imagine how these sessions would flow, stories traded as freely as techniques, laughter bursting forth to ease the weight of striving towards perfection. Creative expression thus became both a reflection of lived experience and a celebration of the vibrant pulse that punctuated it. Beyond mere representation, Minoan art embodied tools for resilience. Frescoes and ceramics not only provided cultural continuity but served as tangible reminders of what was valued and what remained, despite the forces that threatened them. In homes and communal spaces, these art forms became vital in anchoring identity, fostering community bonds that knit them closer, offering a shared narrative to hold on to. As you trace the lines of this resilient artistry, feel the warm impression it leaves, a reminder of the creativity that flows constant, layering images and carving designs that hold more than surface value. Art was their language, their way of embedding hope, resistance, and memory into the very foundations of their society. Let these thoughts settle over you like a gentle caress from history's hand, its brushstrokes whispering tales of perseverance and continuity across the passage of time. Rest here on the inviting lacework of ancient creativity, where colors still glow under the gentle light of reflection and change. In this embrace, the Minoan story etched in paint, shaped in clay, offers you the assurance that amid chaos, the human spirit remains unyieldingly creative, forever scripting the endless saga of endurance and reinvention. So as you drift into repose, take comfort in the soothing balm of art's legacy, a testament to humanity's ability to respond, reframe, and rebirth a sense of self, even amidst life's most challenging disturbances. Let this artistic legacy illuminate your dreams, casting vibrant shadows, scarcely visible, yet profoundly impactful, shaping the heart until your dreams and reality once more blend seamlessly into a tapestry of peaceful slumber. Amid the brilliantly echoed corridors of artistic expression, the Minoans faced an elemental challenge that tested their ingenuity and resilience. Water. As you find your way through the Minoan landscape, envision the intricate systems that once ensconced this civilization in a web of life-sustaining resources: ancient wells dug deep, canals snaking gracefully across fields, and the nurturing streams that whispered secrets of sustainability through every drop. Imagine the scene: a Minoan countryside, where the golden hues of barley fields stretch toward a welcoming sky. Yet beneath this pastoral serenity, the ground tells tales of a more pressing reality. The streams, once vibrant arteries feeding the island's agricultural heartbeat, now meander a quieter course. The climate shift has sharpened the Minoans' focus, turning the scarcity of water into a pressing dilemma. In a world attuned to the whims of nature, the Minoans understood the profound necessity of water. Picture them assembling, under the watchful gaze of olive groves, to discuss methods of conservation and distribution. Communities, linked by shared struggle, turn to ingenuity, engineering solutions to harvest and retain the precious liquid. Cisternal innovations and terracing techniques are born of necessity, reflecting a resolve as deep and unwavering as the wells themselves. Yet, consider the more intimate moments of this challenge. Imagine farmers, some with brows furrowed under the weight of uncertainty, cupping handfuls of soil rich, yet drying. Historians still argue whether these adaptations arrived as immediate responses spurred by a crisis, or whether they matured gradually from long-standing traditions of harmonious living with the land. Beyond agriculture, water meant life for the bustling towns and vibrant palaces. Imagine the intricate aqueduct networks woven into the very design of Minoan settlements. These channels not only carried water but wove a connection between people and place, water gurgling beneath the pathways where sandals struck rhythm. It is here, in this concert of human and environmental interaction, that adaptability sang its clearest notes. Picture, if you will, artisans caught in cheerful debates about the construction of innovative drainage systems capable of defying both floods and droughts. These architectural tales of trial and triumph blend practicality with personality, crafting solutions that kindle both hope and humor amid adversity. The quintessential banter of old friends and longtime craftmasters further lightens the weight of these conversations. But life, as always, was not without its quirks. Imagine walking through a market where novelty and practicality intertwine, perhaps vendors hawking the latest in ceramic rain catchers, promising to catch even the slightest whisper of rain. The serious business of survival carried out with an unabashed twinge of ingenuity and a cleverly crafted smile. And while water scarcity forged acute awareness, It also reinforced unity. Across woven fabrics of communal gatherings, you can sense a shared breath murmurs of encouragement passed between farmers, traders, and scribes alike. It was a survival narrative, authored not solely by innovation, but by the community's collective heartbeat, weaving a fabric of collaboration in light of challenge. More than mere survival, these innovations encapsulated the essence of Minoan adaptability, where continued existence required not only systems, but cohesive strategies centered on care for the land and water. As you wander through this landscape of natural marvels and human determination, marvel at how the Minoans embraced challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to redefine the essence of communal resilience. Let these reflections guide your thoughts toward rested gentle meditation on how the Minoans' intrinsic relationship with their environment exemplified how life's most profound challenges are met, not merely with knowledge, but perhaps, most importantly, with courage and collective effort. As night gathers its serene embrace over your waking thoughts, may this tale of a resourceful civilization echo as a lullaby of continuity, a reminder of the delicate dance the Minoans cultivated with water, earth, and each other. It is a timeless whisper across the ages, a testimony to how humanity endures, adapts, and thrives, even in the most formidable moments. Cradle these musings as you ease gently into a calm and restorative slumber, letting the soothing waters of history wash over you, drifting like a quiet stream back into a world where dreams and tranquility reign supreme. As you settle into the rhythm of Minoan life, where the winds of change carry whispers of water scarcity and social adaptation, let's delve into one of the most captivating aspects of their culture: myths and legends. In this land steeped in mystery, you find yourself drawn not only to the physical remnants, but to the narratives that wove the fabric of their world, offering solace, wisdom, and wonder amidst uncertainty. Imagine gathering around firelit gatherings under the sprawling skies of Crete, where shadows dance to the cadence of storytelling. It's here, in these shared spaces, that myths transcend time, binding community with shared lore and collective memory. These tales, spun from the threads of human experience, serve to explain, inspire, and sometimes caution, becoming interwoven with the daily lives of ancient Minoans. In the echo of their myths, you can hear the roar of the Minotaur within the labyrinthine palace of Knossos. This beast, half man, half bull, born of passion and betrayal, symbolizes both power and peril. The legend of the Minotaur speaks to the Minoans' complex relationship with the bullen animal, revered yet feared, central to ceremonies that embodied both strength and grace. Historians still argue whether these stories reflected historical events, symbolic representation, or perhaps a bit of both dark truths wrapped in allegory. Beyond the stones of Knossos, glance toward the mountain peaks, where Zeus himself was said to have hidden from his father Cronus. The myths rooted in these sacred landscapes carried whispers of divine intervention and mortal folly. In these stories, gods guided heroes as much as nature molded civilization, each serving to perpetuate the lessons encoded within Minoan society. Imagine, too, the echoes of the sea, where maritime legends issued from the foam, tales that reflected the Minoans' mastery over waves but also their awareness of its dangers. It's not hard to envision these myths floating among the stories shared by sailors navigating uncharted waters, a touch of guidance and caution among the constellations lighting their way. Yet, among these lofty myths, do not overlook the quieter tales that permeated everyday life. Local spirits, deities of the hearth and field, frequently populated these legends, each whispering wisdom through allegory, nurturers of both earth and character, shaping moral conduct and community cohesion. The Divine Mother figures prominent in Minoan belief merged seamlessly with such legends, symbols of fertility and cyclical renewal amid uncertainty. Picture these myths flowing rhythmically across the generations. A parent woven with wisdom recites them to a child, eyes filled with wonder and the glow of the fire reflected within. Or perhaps a merchant regales fellow travelers with tales at a bustling port, each listener capturing a piece of the narrative to cradle and share further down life's journey. You might smile at the thought of lighter moments caught in such narratives. Consider the chuckle of an audience as a teller exuberantly embellishes a story to include an errant god, caught in a humorous predicament, an age-old reminder of humility, even when sprinkled upon the divine. As you weave through these tales of gods, creatures, and heroes, ponder their true power, how they provided a framework to understand the world, to tame the intangible forces of fear and hope. Mythology wasn't simply an escape or entertainment, it was education, a compass guiding society through storms and calm seas alike. Feel these ancient stories wrapping around you like a comforting embrace, offering a different kind of truth zone that transcends the reality of stone and earth, illuminating instead the pathways of the heart and mind. They invite you to become a part of a world where imagination fills the gaps of understanding, offering insight even when the world seems uncertain. As these stories gently guide you toward a place of calm, let them reassure you. They remind us that while realities often shift unpredictably, narratives endure, whispered across time, offering us lessons with as much significance now as they did then. As you drift into slumber, wrapped in the quiet warmth of these timeless tales, allow your own dreams to blend with the legends of old. Imagine yourself navigating through the intricate maze of your own dreams, the Minotaur at bay, your path lit by the stars of creativity and insight. May your night be held gently by the myths and lore of a people who knew, even amid uncertainty, the true power of story. As the fires of mythology smolder gently, let us dust the layers of ash from forgotten recesses and unveil the secrets buried in the artifacts that survived the sands of time. Picture yourself strolling through the quiet corridors of a modern museum where whispers of the past are trapped within glass cases, waiting to divulge their ancient tales to those curious enough to listen. The artifacts of the Minoan civilization are not just inanimate objects, they are storytellers in their own right, each with a voice narrating snippets of everyday life, ideals, and astute observations from a world long past. As you gaze upon them, it's akin to a reunion with history, a silent conversation between the present and the echoes of a once thriving culture. Imagine holding in your hand a delicate pottery sherd, its once brilliant colors still vivid despite the passage of centuries. The designs, carefully etched and painted, are much more than decoration. Swirls of the sea, intricate flowers, and scenes of human endeavor speak to a history lived in harmony with nature and the spirit. This humble artifact is but a fragment, yet it tells a story of daily life intertwined with artistic expression. Consider the frescoes. Vibrant despite the passage of millennia, their colors the equivalent of a sunbeam, captured and stretched across plaster. Unlike static narratives, these scenes breathe life into the modern gaze-wild celebrations, religious rites, flora and fauna depicted in dynamic motion, symbols caught mid-dance, frozen in a moment, crafted with skilled hands and artistic vision. Yet, not all relics are so transparent. The linear A tablets, stamped with cryptic symbols, remain wrapped in secrecy, a tantalizing glimpse into a language still not fully understood. It's a code intertwined with curiosity and the profound mystery of communication, an enduring puzzle that beckons both linguists and adventurers alike, awaiting the right key to unlock its secrets. From the workshops of innovative artisans come figurines small, intricate sculptures capturing the essence of a people, animal forms, goddesses with upraised hands, tiny replicas of household objects all stand in quiet testimony to the Minoans' attempts to interlace the spiritual and the mundane. Often, such objects served as votive offerings, connections to the divine, imbued with hope, thanks, or supplication. The magnificent labyrinthine palaces, with their complex architecture and intricate frescoes, are artifacts in their own right, sprawling testaments to the grandeur that once was. Walk through their recreated corridors in your mind, feeling the very stones beneath your feet, worn smooth by centuries, the cool embrace of shadow and sunlight painting stories across the walls. Historians still debate the layers of meaning behind these formidable structures. Were they merely royal residences or centers of economic and religious life? The lack of singular consensus enriches the Mystereach theory a thread, inviting you to explore the web of Minoan society. Imagine, too, the small yet significant items like seals and amulets. They might seem mundane to the untrained eye, but these objects offer glimpses into identity and power. Used to sign contracts, or as protective charms, they whisper of a society that valued both personal honor and divine favor. In lighter moments, consider the cooking implements, perhaps a burnt spatula remnant or a wine vessel whose lingering aroma has long departed. These speak of community gatherings, of feasts and everyday meals, of stories shared over food testament to a culture that celebrated not just survival, but the joy of living. Each artifact, from the most opulent of jewels to the most utilitarian of tools, is a time capsule. They preserve a world of contrasts, elegance and utility, celebration and sobriety, play and work. They echo the enduring spirit of a people who mastered art and technology in service of a balanced and harmonious life. As the artifacts linger in the dim light, let them guide your thoughts toward rest. May they whisper into your dreams the rich tapestry of Minoan life, a symphony of colors, shapes, and stories converging like the waves gently lapping against the Cretan shores. As night folds its quiet embrace around you, imagine these ancient voices weaving through dreams, taking you on a journey where the past fuses seamlessly with your imagination. Let the artifact's legacy grace your slumber, carrying you into a landscape of serene exploration, a reminder of history's luminous path, intertwining seamlessly with shadows cast long and elegantly across time. In the heart of the Minoan world, where artistry mingles with daily life, a more whimsical yet essential aspect of existence lies hidden. The innovations, some practical, others delightfully peculiar, that colored their everyday experiences. Imagine wandering through a bustling Minoan town, the hummed melodies of market chatter mingling with the aroma of fresh bread, when a shopkeeper gestures to a curious assortment of products that once adorned the bodies and lives of this ancient civilization. Perhaps one of the quirkiest innovations is the concoction of beauty and health sunscreen, believed to be made with, of all things, crocodile-dung. Yes, that's right. Ancient entrepreneurs mingled earthy ingredients with oils, offering a form of sun protection to withstand the relentless Mediterranean glare. Picture villagers applying this organic remedy to their sun-worn skin, a fragrant shield against Helios's unyielding gaze. You can almost hear the gentle jests exchanged in the application, a reminder that beauty, even in antiquity, bore its humorous challenges. Then there's the realm of Minoan cuisine, infusions and flavors crafted from abundant offerings of land and sea. Savory or thought-provoking, their culinary practices reflected a sophisticated palate. Alongside the more recognizable pots of honey and olive oil, imagine the curious jars of spiced wine and the distinctive aroma of saffron pervading kitchens, crafting flavors that were as much a testament to the Minoans' trading prowess as their culinary aptitude. Historians still argue whether some of these gastronomic quirks were designed out of necessity or indulgence. Was it the allure of opulence that drove such tastes, or did the Minoans, like us, delight in experimenting at their tables, playful culinary whispers that tantalized with a hint of humor? In artisans' workshops, time-honored techniques blended with novelty. Imagine craftsmen hunched over hammers and chisels, crafting delicate carvings of sea life onto gold jewelry or painting intricate patterns onto pottery, not just for beauty, but perhaps to prank or entertain, a subtle nod to an appreciation of the absurd. Art mingled with everyday objects, rendering even mundane tasks visually captivating and occasionally amusing. Practical innovations, like their sophisticated plumbing systems, offered reminders of Minoan ingenuity. Picture the intricate labyrinth of pipes and drains channeling water throughout the homes, where laughter might echo down the corridors, perhaps from the proud architect who cleverly and humorous woven skill and wit into the simple task of moving water. Imagine the exchange of banter between neighbors as they pointed to buckets of water, the timeless community topic of maintenance discussed with a twinkle of mischief. But innovation wasn't limited to physical goods. In the ceremonial spaces, traditions evolved with flair. The thrilling spectacle of bull leaping stands as testament to a society enamored with ingenuity and athleticism, masterful performers engaging in dance-like choreography with powerful animals. This ritual of raw courage, where the amphitheater reverberated with shared gasps and youthful bravery, infused ordinary life with exhilarating flashes of character. Picture those engaged in these rituals exchanging wry smiles over missed stepsa, shared acknowledgement that not every leap was perfect, but every attempt alive with spirit. These ceremonials celebrated human capability and the audacity of heart and affirmation that even when reality tugs dangerously to the edge, creativity cheeks through. In the quieter spaces, innovations touched celebrations and storytelling, a nuance here, a gesture there. Imagine the wines flowing into kylixes where miniature figures danced upon the pottery, a gentle playfulness, guiding serious debaters, collaborating strategists, and inspired poets through the tides of discourse and narrative, both educational and entertaining. Let your mind wander through this landscape of innovation, where Crocodile-Dung sunscreen and spiced wines carve out history on the playful fringes of necessity and imagination. Though time delicately swept away many remnants, what remains are reminders of the relentless spark of creativity that drives progress, gently ringing like a bell through the depths of history. Breathe in the lightness of this quiet ingenuity as you drift into rest. Feel its solace, like a friend's comforting presence, nudging you to embrace your own moments of whimsy and invention. Let these echoes of ancient innovations embrace your dreams, inspiring you to delight in life's tapestry as intricately and vibrantly woven today as in the halls of Minoan palaces. Allow yourself to settle into the warmth of tranquility, letting these reflections on innovation carry you with ease toward a serene and imaginative slumber, where the boundaries of time blissfully blur in comforting dreams. As you wander through the remains of Minoan Crete, where the echoes of innovation and resilience still murmur in the wind, turn your thoughts toward the broader world beyond the island's shores. Imagine the Minoans in their role not just as islanders, but as global citizens engaged in a dance of cultural exchange, a dance that knit the Mediterranean into a vibrant tapestry of influences. Envision the busy harbors of Crete, bustling with ships from distant lands. The Minoans were master traders and navigators, their ships sleek and swift, skills that made them essential players in an ancient world where goods, ideas, and traditions wove through networks spanning continents. Crete was less an isolated jewel and more a crossroad where diverse cultures converged. Imagine the cacophony of languages melding together at the docks, traders bartering over amphorae of oil and wine, hoisting delicate pottery, bronzeware, and textiles. The air is rich with the mingling scents of spices, resins, and exotic goods. With each vessel that docked and departed, the Minoans harvested not just the tangible but the intangible lessons, beliefs, and customs that colored their culture in myriad, unexpected ways. Historians still hotly debate the full spectrum of this exchange. Was Crete primarily a receiver, absorbing and adapting foreign elements into its lattice of customs, or did it send forth Minoan culture to other lands, sowing seeds of its brilliance across the ancient world? Evidence suggests a bidirectional flow, a syncretic culture eagerly embracing the novel while sharing its own vibrant artistry and craftsmanship. Picture a Minoan scribe, seated under the firm yet gentle Mediterranean sun, carefully chronicling new words and ideas picked up in the bustling agora. Ink meets papyrus as new dialects and idioms spice their language, enhancing their lexicon with words collected like precious artifacts. This exchange enriches not only their vocabulary but their worldviews, their concepts of trade, diplomacy, and innovation expanding with every conversation. In cultural enclaves, You might imagine distant ambassadors, adorned in diverse garments, meeting with Minoan dignitaries. These gatherings, ripe with diplomacy and partnership, set the stage for treaties and friendships. The charisma and charm of the Cretan hosts meet the intrigue and sophistication of foreign delegates, a delicate unfolding of relationships penned across papyrus scrolls and sealed with the impressions of shared ambition. Consider the infusion of spiritual beliefs, coloring Minoan practices, deities intertwined, myths exchanged over shared feasts, giving rise to a tapestry of spirituality, woven tightly with threads borrowed and shared. The presence of Egyptian, Near Eastern, and Anatolian icons within Minoan art reveal a society comfortable in drawing the divine close from across seas and horizons. The Earth's treasures were part of this grand exchange as well. Picture miners returning from distant lands, their hands dusted with foreign earth, bearing metals and stones collected from shared enterprises. These materials speak of collaboration, leaving their mark on Minoan craftsmanship, the sheen of distant gold reflecting in the Cretan sun. And amid this heightened cultural confluence, even the lighter side of life thrived. Imagine Minoans jesting about foreign tastes or amusing themselves with foreign trinkets. Each object, each story, acts not only as testament to distant connections, but as an unwitting invitation to weave themselves into the fabric of Minoan life. This constant blending of cultures left Crete showered with hues of traditions far and wide, with layers richer than the intricate frescoes that adorned palace walls. This interconnectedness became a strength allowing the Minoans to learn, adapt, and innovate with vigor unmatched. As you contemplate this multitude of influences, feel the gentle cadence of interconnected cultures, and let it lull you into a sense of peace. Reflect on the wisdom gathered from open borders and shared experiences, a lesson as vital today as it was then, reminding us of the beauty found in the exchange of ideas across the thresholds of understanding. As you traverse this mosaic of cultural exchange that defined Minoan civilization, allow its whispers to guide you toward rest. Embrace the serene tide of human interconnectedness, a timeless anchor amidst life's ebbs and flows. Feel its wisdom and warmth, wrapping soothingly around you, slowly easing your thoughts into serene and welcoming dreams. Let these reflections carry you into a tranquil night where the dance of cultures plays softly beneath the stars and your own dreams find themselves harmonizing with the timeless saga of humanity's shared journey. As you continue on your journey through the layers of Minoan history, the present fades into the background, replaced by the vibrant tapestry of a civilization remembered for its interconnectedness and resilience. It is here that we delve into the scholarly debates that swirl like gentle eddies around the question of the Minoan collapse. What forces entwine to unravel the rich threads of this culture, nestled within the fertile cradle of the Mediterranean? Imagine sitting in a dimly lit academic study, surrounded by the hushed rustle of turning pages and quiet contemplation. Historians lean over ancient texts and artifacts, assembling narratives from shards of pottery and traces of ash, piecing together a complex puzzle that continues to elude definitive answers. The climatic shifts play a significant role in these discussions. The Minoan world was intricately tied to the land and sea, whose bounty could just as easily turn scarce or hostile. Some argue that climatic changes, perhaps hastened by the eruption of Thera in an era of famine and disrupted trade routes, weakening the economic foundation of Minoan society. Could these increasing hardships have led to internal unrest, fracturing the society from within? Others turn their gaze to cultural and political interactions. As the Minoans prospered, they intertwined their fate with neighboring cultures, but such entanglements came with risk. As the mighty Mycenaeans rose to prominence, some scholars ponder whether this new power supplanted Minoan dominance, either through conquest or cultural assimilation. Did the Minoans find themselves gradually overshadowed, their distinctive culture fading into the backdrop of Mycenaean expansion? For some scholars, the answer lies in a confluence of factors. Was it a perfect storm, natural disasters, changing trade dynamics, and external pressures that converged to unravel the Minoan tapestry? From powerful volcanic eruptions and seismic activity to the resulting disruptions in agriculture and trade, the elements may have conspired to challenge even the most resilient civilization. Against this backdrop, historians continue to debate which forces played the most significant roles. As they examine these questions, the boundaries of climate, politics, and society blur, inviting a deeper exploration of how civilizations adapt, transform, or falter when faced with adversity. While the quest to understand the intricacies of the Minoan collapse continues, one thing remains certain. Their story is a testament to the broader human experience of thriving amid uncertainty and resilience amid challenge. This narrative echoes more than a mere question of why they fell. It reminds us to ask how they rose to such brilliance and what lessons can be drawn from their experiences. In reflecting upon these scholarly debates, feel the threads of history weaving around you, uniting the fragments of past and present in a tapestry rich with lessons yet to be fully untangled. This exploration is not simply a search for answers, it's a dialogue with the past, and a meditation on how we, too, navigate the complexities of interdependent existence. Consider how this timeless questioning remains pertinent today. How do we, faced with our own challenges, learn from those who came before us? How do we ensure that the whispers of the ancient world continue to inform and inspire our pursuit of sustainable coexistence? As night softly descends, let your thoughts be cradled by the gentle folds of these musings. Allow the enduring spirit of inquiry surrounding the Minoan civilization to shepherd you to the threshold of sleep, a lullaby of history's mysteries poised on the brink of resolution, quietly weaving possibilities within your dreams. May these reflections soothe you into restful slumber, and as your eyelids grow heavy, imagine the rich tapestry of the pasta horizon that ever beckons, inviting us to explore, ponder, and admire the elegance of human resilience across the sands of time. As the echoes of historical debate continue to play softly in the background, let us turn our gaze to the unfolding tapestry that marked the transition from the Minoans to the Mycenaeans. Imagine the island of Crete in the gentle embrace of twilight, where the last rays of the sun color the horizon with shades of change, a perfect metaphor for the epoch that saw two distinct civilizations slowly blend into one. The Minoans, with their culture deeply rooted in maritime trade, vibrant artistry, and complex social structures, had long dominated the Aegean world. However, by the emergence of the Late Bronze Age, signs of Mycenaean influence began to appear like ripples spreading softly across the water's surface, gently yet insistently altering the cultural currents. Picture the Mycenaeans, hailing from mainland Greece, navigating diplomatic channels as deftly as they did the sea lanes. Their presence on Crete starts tentatively, perhaps at first as trade partners, their goods intermingling with Cretan wares. But slowly, the Mycenaean ethos, with its penchant for militaristic prowess and fortified citadels, begins to leave an indelible mark on the bustling ports and palatial centers. Within the grand halls of Knossos and Malea, you can almost hear the murmured negotiations and subtle shifts as Mycenaean influence nudges into corners of power. A new script, Linear B, makes its appearance, a historical hint at this cultural confluence, as administrative practices evolve under these foreign influences, hinting at a more structured, perhaps even more militarized presence. Historians still argue about the nature of this transition. Was it a peaceful assimilation, with the Mycenaeans seamlessly absorbing Minoan practices into their burgeoning empire? Or was it a more tumultuous takeover, marked by conflict and subjugation? The ruins speak in fragmented phrases, suggesting a blend of continuity and change, a complex mosaic echoing cooperation and resistance alike. As you walk through the palatial ruins, imagine the tangible infusion of Mycenaean aesthetic in art and architecture, cultural dialogue played out in frescoes and columns. Elements of Mycenaean style, with its emphasis on strength and fortification, intertwine delicately with the softer curves and lively hues of Minoan art, reflecting a civilization in transition. Beyond the art, this cultural merger unfolds in the stories of everyday people. Picture farmers, artisans, and traders adapting to the gradual changes in administration and societal norms, their lives navigated through subtle reformation. There's an underlying resilience in their adaptability, a silent strength that speaks to the inherent flexibility of human societies when faced with change. Imagine discussions in the agora filled with a mix of curiosity and concern, where locals wonder at the new customs and fashions, perhaps integrating bits of Mycenaean practice into their own rowdiness-swapping stories as cultural boundaries shift. In lighter moments, envision jesters in marketplaces weaving tales, mixing the familiar with the exotic playful narratives reflecting both cultures' quirks that bring smiles to the gathered crowd. It's through these shared experiences and stories that cultural assimilation gently flourishes. Even amid this blending, the soul of the Minoan civilization leaves its imprint on the Mycenaeans. The myths, crafts, and maritime traditions of the Minoans became inextricable threads in the fabric of Mycenaean culture, ensuring that even as they evolved, the essence of the Minoan spirit endured. When you close your eyes, let this tale of transformation cradle your mind, like the comforting waft of sea breeze wrapped in whispers of ancient dialogues. Reflect on how change, inevitable as tide and time, places us in a liminal space, a threshold vibrant with both the echoes of past glory and the whispers of coming innovation. Breathe easy, knowing that even amidst change, cultural legacies perpetuate across the ages, manifesting in extraordinary forms of creativity, resilience, and human connection transcending the dim glow of eras long past. As you surrender to slumber, let these reflections gently carry you across the soothing waters of your dreams. May they remind you that even as the chapters of history turn, the narratives of civilizations, like ours or like that of the Minoans and Mycenaeans, whisper enduring truths about the strength and resilience that reside within us all. As the soft embrace of the night envelops the tale of transition, let us focus on the lasting legacy of the Minoans, echoing through time long after their civilization blended into the Mycenaean tapestry. Picture yourself wandering through the vast corridors of history, where Minoan influences are like gentle echoes persistent, though quieter than before, reverberating across succeeding cultures and leaving indelible imprints on the ancient world. Imagine walking through a bustling Mycenaean settlement, hearing the distant laughter and lively chatter that echo with snippets of Minoan influence. In the intricate artistry of pottery, you spot motifs and designs that evoke the vanished grandeur of Minoan aesthetics. Graceful dolphins, swirling foliage, and vibrant spirals still dance across the surfaces of vessels, testament to the enduring appeal of Minoan creativity. Such legacies extend beyond mere visuals. The labyrinthine complexity of Minoan architecture, with cleverly designed palaces that conspired to blend functionality with grandeur, served as inspiration for later civilizations. These structures were marvels of architectural ingenuity, their airy openness and artful layouts, speaking of a civilization that cherished form as much as function, a sensibility that shaped the prospects for urban design in the ancient world. But perhaps most intriguingly, Minoan influence lingers in the realm of myth and legend. The stories of gods and mortals that originated in Crete became foundational myths, reshaped and retold by the Greeks. The tale of the Minotaur in the labyrinth, linked to the palace complex at Knossos, wends through Greek mythology, a perennial narrative that captures imagination with its themes of heroism and hubris. Even as civilizations faded, these stories remained alive, evolving in the retellings, feeding the cultural bloodstream for centuries to follow. Imagine, too, the echoes of Minoan maritime prowess, their naval expertise wielded across trade routes for centuries. The integration of Cretan insights into shipbuilding and navigation played a vital role in shaping the maritime strength of successive Greek states, a legacy proudly sailing forth through the epochs. Historians still argue over the profound subtleties of this cultural legacy. Was it the artistic merits of the Minoans that left the deepest imprint, or was it their contributions to architectural and engineering practices that carried forward their remarkable ethos? Or was it the intangible spirit of innovation and adaptability that became the true heirloom handed down through ages. The debate itself carries forward the enigma, drawing from insights like intersections of light cast across antiquity's enduring landscape. Even the rituals and religious practices of later Greek culture bear traces of Minoan origins. The custom of bull leaping and reverence for nature-themed deities speak of an interchange between the tangible and divine, mirrored in the gods and rites of ancient Greece. The continuity of such features highlights how deeply intertwined their doctrines became threads that thoughtfully weave their origins into the luminous fabric of the Hellenic age. Picture these influences, threading through the conversations of philosophers and sages, becoming notes sung in ancient hymns, or whispers exchanged between traders across bustling markets. They live on in more abstract forms, embedded in the systems of governance, the evolving architecture, and the rich narrative tradition that flourished even after the shift in dominion. As you reflect on the Minoan legacy, feel the gentle rhythm of history course through your thoughts. Allow the richness of these cultural remnants to serve as a testament to the enduring capacity of human creativity, how the beauty and ingenuity of one civilization can continue to inform and inspire many generations. Let your thoughts find rest amidst these musings, envisioning the radiant interchange between civilizations and ongoing conversation that transcends time. May this moment of contemplation accompany you into slumber, gently reassuring you of the enduring strength of legacy when honored, cherished, and shared. As you drift towards sleep, enveloped by this tranquil narrative, allow the Minoan legacy to shape your dreams, nurturing an appreciation for the interconnectedness of human achievement and the delicate art of passing wisdom through the ages, ensuring that no culture, however fleeting, is ever truly forgotten. As the pages of history turn, and the light of Minoan civilization continues to dim into the broader narrative of ancient cultures, we find ourselves pausing to reconsider the stories that have been spun, narratives shaped by time, perspective, and discovery. Envision yourself at a serene crossroad of reflection, where historians and storytellers converge, weaving and unraveling the threads of the past to create the tapestries of history we know today. Picture a gathering of scholars, each with their collection of insights and interpretations, huddled over ancient tomes and fragments of pottery. The exchanged glances and spirited debates among them pose a fascinating question: who writes history, and how do these narratives transform as they're retold through generations? In the case of the Minoans, much of what we understand is pieced together through the lens of archaeological discovery. Every artifact, a fragment, every ruin, a whisper, every fresco, a glimpse into what once flourished. As history recedes into the past, interpretations often morph, colored by cultural context and evolving philosophies. Imagine, if you will, the early explorers and archaeologist figures like Sir Arthur Evans drawn to the crumbled majesty of the Cretan hills, their imaginations ignited by half-buried temples. It was Evans who identified Knossos as the heart of Minoan civilization, describing it as a labyrinth and drawing parallels to the myth of Minos. His work transformed our understanding but also shaped narratives that placed Knossos squarely as a focal point, perhaps at the expense of equally important sites. Historians continue to argue over these inherited interpretations. How much of our modern understanding of the Minoans is filtered through romanticism or misinterpretation that arises when reconstructing a civilization with scant written records? Ambiguities in deciphering linear A, or the incomplete excavation of sites, leave room for both authoritative insights and speculative imagination. As you ponder this scene, consider the deep complexity and beauty in reinterpretation. Just as the Minoans themselves absorbed neighboring influences, so too does the retelling of their story reflect a blend of fact, legend, and its storyteller's perspective, a living narrative that evolves with each telling. It's an ongoing dialogue where each new excavation or discovery adds another brushstroke to a picture hundreds of years in the making. Reflect, too, on how this perspective applies to our present. As we revisit the annals of history, new questions arise, embracing not only the archaeological, but the social, environmental, and technological contexts that frame these civilizations. We assess the nuances, examine the edges, and shape the core of a history that, like a fresco, retains its brightness, yet bears the wear of interpretation. Even within this ongoing venture of understanding, there is room for levity. Picture academics delighting in the quirks of history, missteps that add character to the narrative. They'll chuckle over misattributions or the fanciful inventions of overzealous early scholars in acknowledgement of how history's path is often neither linear nor precise, but profoundly human in its quest for understanding. In contemplating the rethinking of historical narratives, there's solace in embracing what lingers undefined, inviting a humble acceptance of mystery. The true charm lies not in the certainty of what we know, but in the perpetual journey to learn more, to uncover stories yet remained obscured in the loam of forgotten epochs. As these reflections guide your thoughts, imagine yourself drifting through time's gentle embrace, the undulating wave of history, carrying you through its depths, cradled by both the resolved and the unexplained. May this reflection of history's reevaluation offer you refuge as you glide into rest, carrying with you, into dreams, the gentle play between the light of discovery and the shadow of the unknown, belonging intimately to the flow of time. With this inspiration, let the embrace of history guide your slumber, soothing and serene, as your dreams unfurl into a tapestry of past and present, woven with care across centuries, calling you to join in the timeless narrative of curiosity and understanding. As your journey through the corridors of Minoan history unfolds, pause to situate their tale within the broader, tumultuous tapestry of the ancient Mediterranean. Picture the seas surrounding Crete not only as geographical boundaries, but as living threads connecting a myriad of civilizations, each with its own story, its highs and lows, its own dance with destiny. The Minoans flourished during a time when the Mediterranean world was a vibrant mosaic of emerging powers, each vying for influence, territory, and trade dominance. Picture bustling port cities across the waters, where ships, laden with goods from disparate lands, create a living network underpinned by commerce, culture, and often conflict. Imagine standing at the heart of the Minoan crossroads, understanding their story not as an isolated narrative, but as part of a grand interplay of regional dynamics. Neighboring societies such as the Egyptians, the Hittites, and the nascent Mycenaeans of the Greek mainland play roles in this unfolding drama, each contributing to a complex symphony of competition, collaboration, and conquest. Historians still argue whether this era was one of mostly peaceful interaction, as trade and cultural exchange flourished, or whether tension and rivalry simmered just beneath the surface, allies one season, adversaries the next. The Mediterranean, with its shifting alliances and formidable maritime routes, painted a landscape of both opportunity and peril. As you walk through this lively epoch, consider how the Minoans, though sometimes swept up in these broader currents, often surfed them with aplomb. Masters of commerce, they navigated the fine line between being cultural curators and champion traders, absorbing influences that made their civilization resilient, yet distinctly unique. Imagine ancient Crete as a hub of intellect and artistry, a meeting point where the sea's whisper carried legends and lore from distant shores. These interactions infused Minoan culture with tales, artistic techniques, and technological advancements that enriched their society, setting it apart as a beacon amidst the ancient world's constant flux. But this dance of powers was fraught with danger. As markets thrived and temples celebrated, ominous omens loomed on the horizon. Shifting political allegiances and resource scarcities brought unease, a reminder that change, in the ancient world, was the only true constant. Geopolitical tremors echoed through the Minoan world, perhaps stoking fires of concern that kindled beneath the surface like the restless energy of Thera itself. Despite these challenges, the Minoan resilience shone brightly, reflected in persistent trade routes and adaptive living practices. Even as other civilizations experienced peaks and declines, the Minoans continued to embrace the opportunities and challenges presented by their position within this broad world tapestry. It's this broader view that contextualizes their decline as not merely the end of one culture, but as a changing of the guard, an evolution that saw the continued exchange of ideas, peoples, and traditions flow into the fabric of the Mycenaean and subsequent Greek worlds. As the Mediterranean brims with the richness of multi-layered interactions, witness how each wave and current mirrors the struggles and triumphs of societies striving for survival and prosperity. When seen from this vantage, the story of the Minoans becomes one of many threads interwoven to form a more magnificent whole encompassing the resilience of human endeavor amid turbulent seas. As you reflect on this dance of civilizations, let the narrative cradle your thoughts, a reminder of the interconnectivity that underscores history's arc. Recognize that even amid seismic shifts of change, the enduring spirit of cultural interplay continues to define humanity's shared voyage through time. As you drift into rest, let the symphony of ancient voices and stories guide you, like the gentle currents of history, allowing them to soothe and anchor your dreams. Feel the cadence of the past, serenading you softly to slumber, as the narrative of human resilience and adaptability finds harmony within your restful imaginings, echoing through the starlit sands of time. As the intricate dance of civilizations continues to play out on the vast stage of the ancient Mediterranean, we turn our attention inward to the timeless human experiences of trial and triumph, the push and pull of survival and prosperity that each generation navigates. Imagine standing atop a Cretan hill where the grand panorama of human endeavor sprawls before you, each moment a testament to humanity's perpetual struggle against the forces both external and innate. The Minoans, like any civilization, were shaped by this dance of careful negotiation between the abundance gifted by their island home and the challenges posed by nature and neighboring powers. Their story, filled with triumphs of trade and artistry, is also marked by the subtle strains of survival, a reminder that progress often rests on a fragile precipice. Envision the Minoans in their daily lives, deftly weaving through the challenges presented by the environmental ebbs and flows, the capricious whims of trade winds, and the unpredictability of seismic upheavals. As they tilled their fields, navigated their ships, and crafted their wares, they engaged in a continuous dialogue with their surroundings as timeless as the sea itself. Imagine farmers in the fields greeting dawn's first light with both hope and pragmatism. Each day offers a delicate balance between nurturing the soil and accepting nature's dominancy, a fundamental truth that underscores the human experience throughout history. And yet, with every planting and harvest, there shines the understated courage of those who dared to cultivate sustenance in an uncertain world. In the harbors, merchants and sailors brace themselves against the gales of economic upheaval, where the tides of fortune turned quickly, influenced by the winds of politics and commerce. Each venture onto the water not only a quest for prosperity but a continued test of trust in their skills and the sea's bounty. Historians still ponder the resilience inherent in the Minoans' ability to persist, even as challenges mounted. The human spirit's tenacity manifest in their art, their architecture, and their adaptive strategies. Were they driven less by conquest and more by an intrinsic need to sustain and endure? Or did they, like all societies, grapple with the internal tensions between ambition and contentment? Reflect too on the quieter, intimate moments of Minoan life. Families gathering around hearths, artisans perfecting their crafts in quiet workshops, children playing beneath the shade of ancient olive trees. Here, in these seemingly mundane moments, lies the essence of humanity's push and pull, the drive to create, to explore, and to hold fast to the intangible threads of happiness and home. In lighter moments, consider how even humor wove through their days. Imagine jests exchanged over market stalls or during communal gatherings, where laughter became a shared currency, granting relief and connection amid life's relentless flow. It's a gentle reminder that joy often thrives in tandem with trial, as much a part of the fabric of life as the challenges that test it. This interplay of human experience is not unique to the Minoans. Across time, cultures have risen and faded, each contributing their chapters of adaptation, flourishing, and reinvention to the world's narrative. Each serves as a reminder that, while circumstances shift, the core of human resilience remains steadfast and anchor amid the relentless currents of change. As this tapestry of experience unfolds, let it cradle your reflections, inviting you to consider how the themes of persistence, creativity, and connection resonate within our own lives today. Recognize the universality of these narratives show, in charting our paths, we too navigate the shared spaces of challenge and opportunity, guided by the lessons of those who walked before us. May these reflections comfort you as you find rest, offering solace in the understanding that, though times and contexts evolve, the essence of human courage and community remains enduringly familiar. As you enter the embrace of sleep, let the whispering currents of the past entwine with your dreams where, carried on the gentle tides of time, the story of human resilience continues to nourish, inspire, and connect us all, uniting past and present in the serene embrace of shared journey. As the gentle echoes of shared human experiences linger, guiding you into the penultimate chapter of our journey, we find ourselves drawn to the modern endeavors to preserve and interpret the remnants of the Minoan world. Picture the island of Crete today, its ancient landscape of whispers and shadows gradually resurrected through the extraordinary work of archaeologists and historians who seek to protect and reveal the secrets of a civilization that once flourished here. Imagine a serene morning as researchers gather in the golden light of the Mediterranean, their tools brushes and trowels poised to uncover layers of history that the earth has long cradled in silence. These archaeologists, part detective, part historian, work meticulously to piece together fragments of the past, each discovery a precious clue that adds depth and nuance to the tapestries already woven by time. Consider the careful excavation of ruined palaces, temples, and homes, where the very structure of Minoan society is reimagined through unearthed frescoes, pottery, and intricately carved artifacts. Each item, no matter how faded or fragmented, offers a glimpse into the lives and values of the Minoans, preserved not only in museums but within public consciousness, breathing life into history's skeletal remains. Historians and scientists collaborate across disciplines, employing the latest technologies: radiocarbon dating, DNA analysis, and more to refine timelines and challenge entrenched perspectives. The conversations that arise amid these discoveries encourage a dynamic interplay between established history and new insights, ensuring that our understanding of the Minoan world continues to grow and evolve. And yet, the preservation of these secrets is not solely an academic pursuit. It is a communal effort involving the local people of Crete and beyond. Imagine communities rallying to protect their heritage, participating in conservation projects, and engaging with history to foster connections between past and present. These acts of stewardship and participation ensure that the Minoan story continues to inform and inspire those who tread the island's sun-dappled pathways. One of the lighter, more imaginative aspects of this preservation effort is the resurgence of Minoan culture in popular imagination. Festivals celebrating Minoan art and ritual bring together islanders and visitors alike, injecting new life into ancient customs through reenacted bull leaping, traditional dress, and the tastes of ancient recipes. These events, imbued with jovial spirit, forge a bridge between the echoes of history and the vibrancy of modern-day Crete. Beyond the archaeological and celebratory, the story of the Minoans endures in academia and education, where curricula introduce students to the intricate dance of ancient civilizations, prompting reflection on how these themes of adaptation, resilience, and creativity resonate with contemporary challenges. Through each lesson and lecture, the Minoans' legacy dances alive in the minds of new generations, rekindling their enthusiasm for discovery and understanding. As you reflect on these enduring efforts to preserve and interpret the Minoan heritage, consider the broader implication. The collective endeavor not only ensures that ancient civilizations are remembered, but that their stories remain relevant, speaking to our shared humanity across vast stretches of time and space. Let these reflections nestle gently into your thoughts, a gentle reminder of what links us to the past and inspires our journey forward. The continuity of preservation becomes a quiet yet powerful chantone that resonates through the corridors of history, bringing forth glimpses of old wisdom and new insight. As you slip into slumber, cocooned in these meditative thoughts, allow the profound commitment to protection and understanding of the past lull you into tranquility. May it remind you that the tale of human civilization, with all its trials and triumphs, persists not in isolated stanzas, but as part of an ongoing narrative rich with discovery. Drift gently, knowing that efforts to preserve history also preserve the timeless stories that unite us. Feel the age-old whispers guide you into restful dreams, where the deeds of forgotten eras continue to illuminate and enrich the path forward, inviting you to share in history's expansive embrace. As the rich tapestry of the Minoan story weaves its final threads before you, we draw close to the gentle wind-down of our journey. Here, where the echoes of ancient Crete give way to the present's soft hum, let us reflect upon the endurance of stories, the power these narratives hold, and the lessons they offer through the ages. Imagine standing under a starlit sky, where the constellations that once guided Minoan sailors still glimmer above, constant and reassuring. Each star is like a verse of history, a twinkling reminder of the tales passed down through time, their light casting long shadows over the landscapes of our collective memory. In this quiet moment, consider how the stories of the Minoans, their resilience, creativity, and connectivity continue to shine, illuminating not just the ancient world but offering insights into our own. These stories endure, not as static relics but as living narratives, evolving as we do, adapting to new interpretations and understandings with each passing generation. The Minoans' legacy, interwoven with that of countless other civilizations, speaks to the inherent strength and adaptability of humanity. It is a reminder that the past holds boundless wisdom, ready to guide us as we face the challenges and opportunities of our modern era. The stories they left behind invoke both wonder and humility, reminding us of the enduring human spirit that binds us all together. As the gentle cadence of history recedes, leaving behind its resonant echoes, let it guide you into the tranquility of rest. May the tales of the Minoans cradle you into slumber, their narratives flowing through your dreams like a tranquil stream, whispering the secrets of time's continuity, assuring you that even as days pass, the core of human experience remains. Breathe deeply, letting the soothing embrace of this story assure you a narrative where ancient civilizations and modern lives meet in a timeless unity. Feel the calm that accompanies a well-told tale, its wisdom lingering in the spaces between waking and dream, casting a comforting glow over the threshold of sleep. And as you settle into a peaceful and serene slumber, remember that these stories will endure, lighting the way for those yet to come. Embrace this moment of connectedness, where ancestral wisdom caresses the present and guides the soul onward. Sweet dreams.